Welcome guys. In this video I want to talk about a new product from headphone brand Naenka. I've reviewed a couple of their products before and they just recently sent me this as a review copy to check out their brand new Runner Diver bone conduction headphones. And so much more so than has been the case in some of their earlier bone conduction models that they've come out with, this is geared at active lifestyle athletes, that kind of thing. I'll get more into the detail of it as we go in, but I think one thing that sets these apart from any of the other previous bone conduction headphones that I've checked out is their IPX8 waterproof certification. And so these actually are fully waterproof, that you can dive and swim underwater with them and such. And I did a little bit of the testing of the waterproof as well. They performed really great. So I want to go over some of the basic features of these quick with you, just so we have an idea of what we're talking about. So these feature Bluetooth 5.2, which among other things that come with that, according to the literature, says a more stable connection, there's less chance of interrupts and blips, and it operates at a lower power than older Bluetooth technologies, which is probably what goes into their 10 hours of rated battery life with these, which is pretty nice. That's obviously roughly twice what AirPods offer you between charges, which is pretty handy if you're out for a whole day, out and about, and you just have these around your neck in between listening sessions and things. Another thing that they offer, which I think is cool, and I saw it on one other of the Naenka headphones, bone conduction headphones, is they have some internal memory. In this case, these have 16 gigs. And so with the attached charger / data cable that comes with it, it's got these little pins on it, and it magnetically just snaps onto this inner part. It allows it to communicate with it while retaining the waterproof functionality, and you just connect it to your computer, and then it can act like a flash drive where you can just copy songs to it. They say that 16 gigs holds about 3,000 songs, might be less if you're using higher quality files, but still, that's a lot of music. And then the idea behind this is, if you're in a scenario like swimming where you obviously can't bring your phone, you can just have music preloaded up onto these that it can play on its own without your phone, and then you could be listening to music while you're swimming, while you're working out, if you're sweaty, if you're in a hot room or something like that. Even if you want to go for a run and you are wearing gym shorts that don't have good pockets and you don't want to wear a waist pack or anything like that, it's handy to be able to just go for a jog with these without even needing the phone. So that is a nice feature and not something that you see on a lot of headphones, which is pretty cool. They also mention in their literature something they call OT, closed sound leakage technology, which essentially I think just means they've revised the way that it sits on the side of your head, so that it's easier to make a good connection and not have some of that sound slip away. I don't notice it makes a huge difference from previous bone conduction headphone models that they have, but in a small way, I do notice that it's easier to just slide them on and have a good connection. There were occasionally times with earlier models where I would have to adjust them and make sure that they were like on just the right spot, or else the sound would be off. Say like you'd be losing too much of the highs, or the low end would completely vanish and you'd have to adjust. These seem to do a better job of that, which of course is important when we're talking you're going to go running in these or something. They're going to be, your head's going to be moving. Their ability to either stay perfectly put or at least still sound good when they don't stay perfectly put is important, and these do a pretty good job of that. I did go for runs, I went for walks, I wore these while I was just doing chores and things around my house, moving around. Couple different things I did to test their waterproof nature. I submerged them just underwater and held them there, and then made sure that they still played. I wore them in the shower one time while listening to a podcast, just to see could it withstand hot water and different conditions while it was doing that. Could I hear properly the whole time I was doing that? It worked out pretty well. I was able to go to a local pool and swim with them briefly, but unfortunately, due to the circumstances of that day, I wasn't able to bring any recording equipment with me to get footage of that. But they did perform well. I didn't do any deep diving, like over 10 feet or anything like that, but on a 6-foot, deep pool, I was able to go under the water and swim the length of the pool underwater the whole time. It's actually kind of a cool feeling to still hear some kind of a program while you're underwater, because that's not usually something that you ever get to enjoy. And worked equally well on the surface of the water. Was really nice. Nice to know that they're not going to fall off your head. They grip on really well. Didn't have any problems with feeling like I was going to lose them while I was swimming around. I think they strike a good balance of sitting on the side of your head just snugly enough that they feel secure, but not so snugly that it kind of bores into the sides of your head over time and becomes uncomfortable. I don't know that these would necessarily be like an all-day headphone, but they are light enough that you could certainly wear them for a good period of time and not worry about that. So to go over just basic usage of them, one side of them on the outside has a little power switch. You just press and hold it, and you can hear through the ear pads that'll say that it's on. And then if you just press that while they're on, you can toggle between if it's on Bluetooth or if it's using its internal storage to just play, which is fairly easy to do that on the go. When you want to charge them, again, they have these pins right on the inside strip here, and you would just magnetically snap this to it and plug it into either your computer or any power block that you have for charging. It also functions as a data cable, and so like I said, you can connect that to your computer, use this like a jump drive to control the songs that are on it and all that. That's a fairly seamless experience, which is nice. They also come with these rubber ear tips, pretty similar to what you would see if you were using IEMs and things like that. You just slide them in the ear and make sure you have a good seal. It blocks out a lot of outside sound. And so if you use those with the bone conduction headphones, then you're essentially getting noise canceling while you run. That's nice to know that you have that. Personally, when I'm out for a run, what I actually like about bone conduction headphones is that since they don't go in your ear canal, you can hear what you're listening to, and you have good situational awareness in your surroundings. I just find that when I'm out for a run, I like to be able to hear what's around me, especially if I'm running through a forest trail or something like that. Not that I'm super paranoid somebody's going to sneak up on me, but I just prefer to be able to hear the environment. And so I like that aspect of the bone conduction. And so for me, like I said, it's nice to know that you have this, but I don't tend to use them when I go out for a run. Generally. Now that does of course come at a cost. When you can hear all of your surroundings, you tend to have to turn the volume up a little bit higher on the bone conduction headphones to be able to hear what you're listening to well. And depending on your circumstance, if you're running or walking through a city downtown environment, if there's a lot of cars, a lot of bustle, especially if there's any kind of construction, you may have a hard time hearing what you're listening to on them unless you're using those ear tips. So certainly they're small. They have a nice little plastic case, easy to throw in a pocket or a waist pack or something, so that you can throw them on as needed if you're ever in those situations, even if you don't want to use them most of the time. To talk about their sound quality a little bit, there's basically two things I would say about that. One, the sound is decent. I've noticed the same thing that I've noticed on other bone conduction headphones that I've had, which is to say you have to turn the volume up a bit higher than you sometimes do on headphones that go into your ear canal. I would say listening to a podcast and things like that, a comfortable listening volume was probably 70% volume on my iPhone. With these, that was pretty good audible. I didn't feel like I had to crank them up all the way, but almost 3/4 of the way. Don't have to put it that loud for my AirPods for that kind of listening volume. Not a huge issue, just to be aware of for somebody. And sound quality wise is decent. I think for bone conduction headphones, they did a good job on these, but something I've noticed on all bone conduction headphones I've tried is they're best kind of in the center frequencies, and so you get down to maybe below 300 hertz, the lower bass regions, it really tapers off fast. Bone conduction headphones seem to struggle a lot of the time, at least with ones I've tried, with reproducing the really low end bass, and the really high signals at the top tend to get a little lost as well. So these are great for podcasts because they capture the vocal range, and that's most of what you're going to need there. For your music, they're acceptable. I don't think they sound as good as AirPods, certainly not the AirPods Max or anything like that, but I think with this style of headphone, you're trading versatility for sound quality to a degree, and you kind of know that going into it. And so the trade-off is, these can get wet. You can sweat in these. You can work out in these. You can dive in these. You can run in these, even on a 90-degree day where it's really hot and muggy. You could wear these without worry, like AirPods, they might fall out of your ear if they're getting sweaty, or the sweat might, cause issues with them while they're operating. And so you don't have to worry about any of that with these, which is great. And you're trading that for, they don't necessarily sound as good, so that you get the versatility of these more than anything else. And what I like about them, again, is it seems easier to find the sweet spot of these where they're going to sound their best than other bone conduction headphones that I've tried that seemed a little bit more location prone, where you really had to dial in, like, where are they going to sit? Are they better here? Should I move them up slightly? Should I pivot this down, slightly and whatnot? These are a little easier to position for that reason. I really like the internal storage feature of these, especially if you're going to go to the gym or you're going to be in certain places where having your phone just lying somewhere, not ideal. Obviously, if you're in a swimming pool, you don't really want to leave your phone just sitting on a chair, both because you could encounter range issues. What if when you swim all the way to the opposite end of the pool, it's borderline going out of range of your phone. You don't want your phone to get splashed or get wet. And of course, leaving your phone unattended, you don't want the phone to walk away. So the ability for these to just have their own music in them, where you could leave your phone in a locker room where it's safe, that is nice. It's a great feature, I think, for people who are avid gym goers or people who are planning to swim a lot, especially if you're taking these out in a lake or doing water sports. I mean, you could certainly wear these doing water skiing or things like that. You might have trouble hearing your music over the sound of the boat, in that scenario, but in terms of waterproofness, these can certainly take it. Now, at a price point of about $190, you might be wondering, are these worth that price? I would say it depends on your lifestyle and your usage. If you are somebody who is very active, who's going to be out running, diving, doing that kind of stuff on a regular basis, you want something that you're not making a lot of compromises with positioning, that has good battery life, I would say these make sense, especially because of the internal storage, because it answers the challenge, what do I do with my phone? Do I need one of those armbands where I stick the phone onto it, or some kind of other portable player? What kind of money am I going to invest in that? To not need any of that, yes, it really helps justify, I think, the cost at that point, especially since these have 10 hours of battery life, which I think for the active part of the day, you could call those all-day headphones, especially if you're not listening literally non-stop, which you probably are not with those. And as long as you know going into it, obviously you're paying the money for the features, the functionality, and the versatility. You can't think of headphones like this in terms of pure audio quality, like what would $200 buy me in a large, open pair of headphones. It's a different game. Obviously the money is going into different technology, whereas you couldn't wear just a regular pair of $200 studio type headphones out where you're running, obviously. So just trying to make sure that we're thinking of it comparatively in the right way. If you were looking at these just sheerly in terms of audio quality, are they like a $200 pair of headphones? No. But generally bone conduction headphones are not, like I said. If you're a person who doesn't do a lot of running and whatnot, you could easily opt for a different model and save a little cash. But if you're someone who's active, you probably tend to put a decent amount of thought into your gear anyway, your running shoes. If you wear a Garmin or another wristband for tracking your steps, you've already got money into those kinds of things. And so at that point, it makes sense to invest in a solid pair of active headphones that can go with you anywhere, and you have that peace of mind with these. So I hope that was kind of helpful as an overview of this. If you have questions that I can answer, throw in the comments below. I'll do my best to address them. And otherwise, thank you, Naenka, for sending a review copy for me to check out of these. It definitely is a little interesting way for me to shake up my outdoor activities as I get into summer here. Give me some variety of the headphones that I can wear, and I will catch you guys in the next video.